Welcome to Deeper Than a Disorder, where we take you into the lives of real people living with real disorders because every diagnosis has a face and a story. We're your hosts, Dr. Ashley Wiley Johnson
and Dr. George Castle.
Yeah.
It was the one thing that, could keep my mind off of thinking about autism was that I just love cars.
What about the babies?
If it's meant to happen, then it will be.
I thought that football was going to be a way out.
You can't be completely consumed in it. Let's embark on this enlightening journey together as we go
deeper than a disorder.
Deeper than a disorder. And remember to follow us, like us, subscribe to our channel, and listen to us wherever you get your podcast. I have the honor of bringing on Jay and Pamela. We are so excited. It is,
Absolutely.
If you have not had a chance to, tune in to TLC, which, disclaimer, both George and I have done this, right? Like we said, Jay and Pamela is just a special show, and it's really something. And I was very excited to learn not only about like the disorder that you guys are living with and thriving with, but at the same time to learn you, Jay, are also on the autism spectrum. Is just like my whole being is just like shooken up, and I just feel grateful that you guys are on the air. So thank you. And I'm really looking forward to, learning more about you guys, and we're just so honored to have you.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that we want to know, and I feel like everybody needs to know, is how did you guys actually meet?
Yes, so we were Facebook friends, and we don't know who outed who. I mean, with our physical condition, which is osteogenesis imperfecta type 3, I mean, as long as you're not like, suspect, I guess, you kind of just end up adding each other, for mutuals and things like that. So we had been Facebook friends for quite some time. We didn't really interact with each other like that or anything. And then she ended up coming into my Instagram live. And I guess I just was feeling bold, and I remembered that we were Facebook friends. I was like, oh, I'll send you my number on Facebook, which for anyone that knows me, that's not like a typical action that I would take. So I sent her my number, and then she texted me, and that was on March 28th, 2019. And yeah, we've talked ever since that day. And so, yeah. And our first conversation was 2 hours long, which for her is a very long conversation. So I was locked in, from the beginning. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And you guys have just now kind of gone on this journey. Um, so and at this point now from 2019 to all the way present, you guys are just married.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Yep.
How's it been?
It's exciting. It's so cool because as we talk about in the show, the reason why I guess, well, for some people it seems like it took longer. I guess it depends on who you ask. But the reason for us it took longer is because we were both on receiving government assistance. And she got off sooner than I did. It actually takes a long time to get off, but that's neither here nor there. But you can't get married and receive benefits at the same
Disability
and
benefits.
disability benefits. So with
Wow.
it took a while for us to both be off and all those things. So that's why, like, when we talk about being together for over 5 years, people are like, oh, why would you be together that long and not be married? And there's a lot of factors that
Yeah.
played into that being prolonged. But we were only engaged for like 2 years, I think.
Less than 2 years.
Less than 2 years. And
Wow.
so The
Okay.
timeline really is not as bad, I guess.
No. Like
Yeah.
I'm over here smiling because we're in LA and it took my husband about 5, 6 years.
See,
So that is not that long. That is not that long. You
everybody
guys,
has their own timeline anyway.
yeah,
So
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
everyone has. Mine was even longer.
Oh,
Yeah.
that George.
Yeah. So
Dr. George.
so
Yes.
yeah, of course, with the weddings, things change so many times. I want this kind of wedding. No, I want that kind of wedding. No, I want a big ring. No, I want a special ring. No, well, can we use that money to pay down for the hall? Anyway, so there's so many things that go into the planning of a wedding. So your timeline is actually typical.
Yeah.
It's typical.
Well, but then to also acknowledge too, like you're saying, the fact that it took an extra amount of time, which I feel like that almost in itself sounds insane that you wouldn't be able to get married if you have a disability and are receiving insurance assistance. I mean, I know every state is different, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was like a wow in
Yeah,
itself.
that's a wow moment for sure.
Yeah, and so now you guys have had this, 5-year path, um, and a lot has happened, but what made you decide that now you're at this place to do this show on TLC? I have to say, Pamela, I saw, the video of you guys on the airplane
yeah.
when you got the promo, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I just the excitement that you guys had." But could you tell us a little bit about, what made you decide to do this on TLC? And were you scared or nervous? What feelings were you getting?
Well, Pamela has followed a lot of my grand ideas that I bring, and I always bring in my family one way or another. As you see, my
Mhm.
parents and my grandmother are all a part of
Yeah.
this.
Which I love.
I, but when I got presented the opportunity through an Instagram DM, I just wanted to see how far this was going to go. Because I was like, hey, if it's not a real thing, then that's fine. I want to see, I don't want to find out that it is a real thing and I miss
Mhm.
out on something. So I remember us getting connected with the production company that is, produced the show, Jared Creative. And Pamela, she was working at the time from home, and I only had like 15 minutes to tell her on a break to be like, hey,
15-minute break. That was
yeah,
it.
we have a
Mhm,
call
mhm.
and we're gonna have a TV show, and like it was just all jumbled together, very. And she looked at me like, I don't know what this guy's talking about, but okay, And so we just started that journey of like so many Zoom calls and conversations and things like that. And when it came to the moment where they said, hey, you're greenlit for
After a year
a
of
year, yeah.
Mm,
meetings and negotiating, going back and forth, if
Mhm,
yes.
they really are interested in a whole series,
yeah.
then they're like, okay, let's start filming.
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
and
Wow.
once that we had to have a lot of conversations though, because
Yeah.
when you do a show, like you're literally putting out like a diary essentially, in front of the whole world, which brings in everybody's opinions and thoughts and
Right.
everything.
Absolutely.
And so, that was a lot of conversations that we had to have. It's like, is this worth it? Do we really want people to know
Mm,
that much about us?
Oh, what
Yeah.
type of show is it
Yeah,
gonna
what
be?
type of show is it going to be?
Right.
Because, you
right.
only have so much control. However, we really looked at the representation, like you mentioned in the beginning, especially with me being autistic and also being Black and having that intersectionality, there's a lot
Yes.
of conversations that, aren't had on a broader scale. And we've both felt, especially even with Pamela, who's first generation Mexican American, bringing cultural aspects to reality television and a lot of important conversations that have been able to be had through our show. And so, it's kind of one of those things of like, if not us, then who,
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
and if we were being given this opportunity, then we felt led to at least give it that chance, no matter how it turned out, just to be able to represent many communities, which I feel like we've hit pretty much
Yeah.
any community.
A little
We've
bit of
got a
everything.
little bit of everything
Yeah.
through
Yes.
the show. So yeah.
So, yeah, well, they say when you marry someone, you marry their family, right? And that was something that didn't really make that much sense to me when I was younger, like as a teenager. And the more I've been married for almost 15 years.
Congratulations.
And so it's been a journey, but I gotta say, I'm closer to some of my wife's family than I am my own family, right? I go to their events, I eat their foods, I understand them in intimate ways. So talk about what it's been like learning about each other's families and integrating family into the relationship. What's that been like?
You want to start first? Or-
Yeah, sure. Well, we started off as friendship, a lot of long phone calls, and first we developed a friendship, and that friendship you start sharing about like, oh wow, you went through this medically just like me, and those things, but
Mhm.
also, you know, what our family looks like. And I thought it was like really interesting that he is the only child, and I grew up with siblings,
Mm-hmm.
and also cultural differences and things like that. My parents uh, didn't have the opportunity to communicate as much as they would have loved to. When it came to like with doctors and teachers, because the first language was Spanish at the
Mm-hmm.
time when I was born.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Uh, so we talked more and more about that, and we were also very open about like what was your child look like, or are you
Mm-hmm.
closer to your father, are you closer to your mother? And ours is kind of like reversed. uh, he's more emotionally closer to his mom in a way,
Okay.
um, and I am more emotionally connected to my father.
Mhm.
And so that was always interesting of like, what is the like, was it look like on the other side and
Yes.
things like that. And since moving to Georgia, I mean, I already was kind of like the odd one in my family per se,
Mm.
already as is. And so going from, oh, I'm moving to Georgia, they're like, what? Like,
Mhm.
especially,
All the things.
yeah, especially being the only one with a disability out
Mhm.
of my siblings. So going from being told, well, my parents being told that I wouldn't live past the age of 1 years old,
Mm.
to graduating from college and then moving to a different state, that was like a huge surprise to my family in a good way.
Yes.
Uh, and
Absolutely.
yeah, and then you know, I immediately had to get to know his parents like right away. Like there is nothing that you can't like tiptoe around, because usually when you're like in the dating phase, you like, meet the parents little by little, you maybe go a dinner with them, and then you have a moment to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and some like
It's
break in
gradual.
between. But we went all the way in. I went
Yeah.
from, it was going to be a visit during the summer in 2020 to, oh, now we're all living together under
Mm.
one roof during the
Which
pandemic.
is great. And I love that part of the show that shows your family and the involvement. And as a therapist, working with teenagers, for us, getting towards independence, becoming, having a pathway towards a career, college, love in this community is one of those things.
Love.
And so for me, to see you guys take on living by yourself was a big piece, this independence. And I would love to know what your thoughts are in regards to independence. How important is that to you, and where do you kind of see this journey kind of going next?
Yeah, well, independence is very important to us. I mean, I think a common misconception for people is that, those who have disabilities, that they aren't able to achieve independence. And of course, everybody's story is different. There are some people who won't be able to achieve independence in the way that people think about, what independence is.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Yes.
something that we've talked about is independence looks different for everybody. Because although we live independently, we have our own place now, we will always need help in some way because we'll always be disabled. That is not going to go away. However, we're still able to live on our own. It's not like someone comes here, we don't have a caregiver, we're not having, a live-in nurse or anything like that who's
Mhm.
helping us day to day, so, but when you think about it though, everybody needs help at some point, right?
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
so
Mhm.
a lot of people kind of think about like people with disabilities as like they just need all this help, and like everybody
Mhm.
needs help.
Everyone.
You're not navigating
Absolutely.
the world alone. Well, hopefully not, because that can be very lonely. So I feel like for us it was important, and something that people we knew were confused about, because you would see people like kind of on both sides, right? They'd be like, well, why would they want to move out his parents' home? It's like such a nice home. And like, but if you were looking at someone who was able-bodied and they were 20, oh, well, in the show 28 and 30, but if they were
Mhm.
28 and 30 and said, hey, I'm still living with my parents,
Mm-hmm.
and they had nothing physically, going on with, or whatever, no kind of disorder or anything, you'd be like, why are you still living at home? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the reason?
Yes.
Why are
Mm-hmm.
you not making steps to like be independent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at us, it's like, oh, why would they want to live on their own? It's like, well, because we're grown. I mean,
Right.
that's
Right.
it. I
Right.
mean, and there's something like where we just couldn't, like, absolutely, it was impossible. But for us, like, our disorder, yes, it's very physical. However, we've learned to navigate and adapt. We've also both had experience living on our own prior to moving back with my parents, because the
Amazing.
only reason we moved with my parents is because of the pandemic. I was living
Uh,
with roommates. She was living on her own,
Yes.
in her own apartment. So we both had experience. I lived in a dorm room in college for
Mm.
4 years.
mm-hmm.
So like we had both had experiences living on our own or living independently and having to
Mhm.
navigate those things. So it wasn't something that was like a concept that was
Was
unknown, or
foreign or new.
how to navigate. I mean, the biggest thing that we've had to navigate is living on our own with each other. Like
Yes.
that's the
Right.
biggest
Two.
thing. So,
Yes.
Right.
you know,
Yes. And you
So
make such a good point.
yeah, no. Well, I wanted to just for context for the listeners, tell us about so for someone who doesn't know anything about osteogenesis imperfecta type 3, right? What would you how would you describe it so that we know?
Mm.
So osteogenesis imperfecta type 3 is a brittle bone disorder, and in our case, we're unable to walk or stand. So we are full-time wheelchair users, well, power wheelchair users. We, of course, like I said, we break easily. We've had 200 fractures separately, 200 plus fractures separately, so a combined total of like 400 something.
Okay.
Uh, and we also have other issues such as GI issues. I have breathing issues, heart issues are very common, and we are short stature as well. We're both considered little people, and we're a little bit over 3 feet tall. Now, who's taller really doesn't matter, you know what I mean? She would say, but we're still short either way.
But it does.
Yeah, we have hearing loss as well, mild hearing
Mm.
loss. I utilize hearing aids, and so those are kind of the main
Okay.
Yeah.
components of why our skin is easily able to bruise. So everything is affected, because we have lack of collagen.
Collagen, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
Mm.
then
Okay.
collagen in almost every part of your body, your bones, your skin, your lungs,
Mm.
your organs. So, those are,
And
it's all connected.
And
Yes.
despite this, you thrive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite this, you find each other, you thrive, you're living and loving, which is, important. Everybody understands, feels, needs that love. And, it's inspiring to, see anybody's love journey. But yours is particularly amazing. So
Mhm.
it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you bring up such a good point, George, like about thriving and, to hear what you're describing about like we've been living independently, and you guys are 28 and 30. Like what what a model, what a
Yeah.
model at the very least. And like you said, everybody has their own journey. But one of the things that I always value, when I think about like my children, for example, in education, is having educators that look like themselves, having models that look like themselves, representation, television where you see like young girls. And so many people, based on what you've described, whether you're challenging challenged with hearing loss or you don't, or you're just curious and want to know and be able to be aware, you guys represent that. So it's really something.
So have you all always dated people with your diagnosis, or um what was that like?
Oh, dating. I mean,
Well,
dating in
I,
general.
I, would-
Or
I
dating
would
in
say that
general?
Is this the first?
Pamela is the first partner that I've had, so I don't have any thoughts or experiences in that regard.
Mhm.
I just never got to that point. I will say at least the women that when I did talk to different women, none of them had a disability. So I guess that's as like far as my experience, but I didn't have any like relationships
Like a
or a serious
serious.
relationship with anyone. And so she would have a lot more information on her dating history.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, I've dated two people with a lie before him.
Oh wow.
Uh and others were, able-bodied. Um but I when I was like, single and dating, I never had like a rule of like you have to date someone with a disability or you have to date someone like this or this and that. Um because I don't like being judged, and so I've always tried
Absolutely.
to that mindset of not judging a book by its cover, basically. As long as like the connection is there and respect and boundaries and morals and all that important things was there. That was important to me.
Well, I love that you said, two with OI and others that were able-bodied. Like you've been out here, you've experienced
Yeah,
life.
even
Like I'm here for that, Pamela. I love it. I love all those moments. Like there was some video where I think you had a new trainer, Jay. And
Oh,
oh my
I saw
God.
the trainer.
It's like,
I
yeah,
yes, Pam.
saw
Yes.
yeah. The
yes.
viral meme of that is actually really hilarious.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the things that we experience throughout filming the show, and you just don't know what's going to be viral or what's going to stick.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so what would you say at this point? Now you guys are just, going through that wedding planning phase, which we both, George and I, know so much about. I mean, everybody experiences it at some point, God willing. Like you mentioned, Jay, I feel like you said it so well. Like I hope we all get, a mate, for example, and that's what you guys have found. And so, how did it feel to finally make it to your own wedding? And what's next? Like, what's the next part for you guys? I know every early married couple gets this question, but we have it for you.
Oh, well, just even getting to the point of being married, at least for myself, going from never having dated anybody, so I was shocked. I was like, wow, I can't believe we're doing this,
Mhm.
in a good way, because again, like those are like those movies, where you're just going through life and then you find the person in the supermarket and now they'll get married. Like I feel like when those
Yes.
romantic comedies, that's how I feel my life has turned out in a good way. So I am definitely grateful. It's always interesting because out of billions of people on Earth that we connected is like who would have thought? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just like
Yeah.
so awesome and random at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally feel very, very grateful to navigate life with someone that I genuinely like care about and things like that. And especially for those that know I'm autistic, that is a very hard feat because like the
Yes.
Yeah.
I care about people like to the extent of like you have to in a way it's like you have to kind of become my special interest because I am very focused. Like if I'm not
Yeah.
focused on you, I will like forget about it. And not in an offensive way. It's just like you have to be a kind of a constant in my life to just kind of stick. And so that's what is really great is if you are like my special interest, you're kind of stuck with me because
Yes.
like now I'm like I know
Because you go
everything about
all
you.
in.
I'm all in, you
Yeah.
know, and that's the thing. Like once I'm all in, I'm all in, and that's
Yes.
this relationship, my friendships, my family, you know, and things like that. So for me, I'm very grateful, you know, to be at this point, being married, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds. I mean, I feel like nothing can stop us from doing anything. I mean, especially what we've already accomplished is already kind of wild, and
Yes.
I feel like even hard for people that don't have anything going on with them. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
this is pretty cool. Like we've
Hmm.
accomplished already so
So
much, but
much.
you know, we'd love to do more. But what is your thoughts on everything?
Yes. So, even though I know like the run-on joke that like, oh, I have all this dating experience and all that, but at the same time, um, I wasn't always sure if marriage was going to be a possibility for
Mm.
me,
Hmm.
because it just seemed like a very big concept, to me.
Yeah.
And once I met him, and it was such an easy friendship. Like our first conversation was 2 hours long, and
Yeah.
I originally did not want to do long distance. That was like one of the things I like on my top of on my list of like I'm not doing long distance.
Difficult.
But
Mm-hmm.
thanks to one of my best friends, she convinced me, and she's like, "You're always talking about him, and you're always like smiling, like when you talk
Mm.
about him. I'm like, you're falling in love. Like, just
Mm.
go with it." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay," and
Yeah.
I'm glad I did because um, he turned out to really be my soulmate,
Mm.
and
Mm.
I'm really grateful that that I just let it happen. Like, just not let my fears and my traumas and everything get in the way of like an opportunity of finding my soulmate. And in regards to the future, like you said, we've have accomplished a lot already as individuals and as a couple. Um, we're always learning and growing, and we have like this really important role of like as long as we are growing together and doing things together and supporting each other, then we're 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 ready for any adventure as long as we always communicate and support
Absolutely.
one another.
Well, you bring
Uh,
up such an amazing point. I think I just, sorry.
no, I'm probably thinking the same thing.
I
I was
think we probably,
thinking
because
when she
like
said
that
not
was
letting your
just,
fears,
yeah,
like
that
like how
we could
often
say
do we,
25 things
you
that you
know,
guys have brought to us in just this
how
moment.
often do
Yeah.
you let your fears get in the way of opportunities for
Yes.
love, for life, right?
So much. And
And
even I think about, just what you were saying about like everybody experiencing certain things,
yeah,
and
it's
like that
common
whole
to
process.
everyone. Yeah.
And then for you though, Jay, to mention like the uniqueness of your autism. And like you said, and like sometimes as a therapist, I think so often like both of us, George and I, as we created this podcast, we just, work mostly with like the disorder or the challenge, right? But we get to be very privy when we get into people's lives to learn more about like everything, you
Everything.
know? And so I get what you're saying because I was just thinking like, well, individuals that are autistic will often have challenges with social skills and building those relationships And like you said, but then to look at it as a positive, that's
But
why you guys
yeah,
are shattering so much, because you're
uh,
like, actually, for me, it means if I go all
yeah,
in,
that
I'm
I'm
going
all in.
all in.
I know everything about you.
Yes. And
And
that's what you can
which is
see.
great.
Wait, and I have
Which is,
one final thought too,
uh-huh.
just one question as I think,
Uh-huh.
because look, you guys have just talked about the normalcy of the desires that every human wants, regardless of challenge. We all have challenges. We all are overcoming them. We're all just need to thrive. That's really ultimately like life goal, right?
Yeah.
But every married couple gets this question next, which is, what about the babies?
Uh, 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 uh.
Where are we
Listen,
at?
You can feel free to just give her that look like mind your business.
no, listen,
That's actually a good question,
Mhm.
especially those who do have a disability, because there's a lot of stigma and stereotypes
Yes.
of like you're you're flat out just not capable of being a parent. Like you won't be a good parent if you have a disability. And there's now just so many support and resources, and there is a lot of ways to be a parent,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can go ahead.
Yeah, so we've talked about this since we met, and well, not like immediately, but just in general. You talk about a lot of conversations, just like, do you want to have kids? Do you want to be a parent? Kind of thing. And for us, it's kind of like if it's meant to happen, then it will be. We've talked about like adoption and maybe even starting with like being foster parents and things like that.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we're at a start of our careers, and we feel like being a parent is a very highly important role, and we'd want to make sure that we can give all the time that would a child would require.
Yeah.
And right now that's not something that we can provide. And so we would just want to make sure that we're not essentially the reason our kids have to go to
Yeah,
therapy.
right,
You
right.
know, it's
Ah,
we know where we're at right now, and this could be something within the next 5 years that may be a better conversation. But just for where we're at in this current moment, I mean, we just have so much going
yeah.
on. I mean, we of course we just finished this first season. We're hoping we
Yes.
get a second. We
Season
obviously
2.
make sure that we're at a place where there's some more stability before we introduce having a child. However, it is a constant conversation that we've been having, and never say never.
Yeah.
That's
Right. Well, and
Yeah.
I see you, Pamela, with your dog, the cutie patootie. So we know you all are awesome, at the very least, pet parents. And I look forward to hearing about, what's next for you guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, are there any, final words that you'd want to tell the audience about your lives, yourselves, anything
Tune
that
in.
you'd like them besides tune in, and we they're gonna tune in.
Yeah, they have to tune
They
in.
have to tune in.
It's a special show.
But are there any final parting words that you'd like to bestow?
Oh, go ahead first.
Well, first of all, thank you to the both of you for even having us, and you two are also doing amazing things as well. So
Thank you.
thank you
Thank you.
as well. In regards to just words or encouragement or and such, um, we just hope that people at least learn something from the show. Um, and also keep in mind we're also not experts in not everything,
Right.
just human, and we're just one story. Just because now two people with the same bone disorder does not mean it's
But
like
they're
that
all the
for
same.
everyone with the same bone disorder or disability.
Yeah.
And also help people learn that you are worthy of love, and
Yes.
Mm,
we're capable of
Mm,
finding family, and family can look in various different ways. Um,
yes.
absolutely.
uh, you will find community, and it doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It could be friendship. You
Right.
know,
Mm-hmm.
and family. So to know that you're not alone, more than likely what you're going through,
Yeah.
someone else is going through it too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to be your authentic self as well. Because that was something that we had to do right away, which was really hard too at the beginning because like you have cameras at like the most every moment, the good,
Yeah.
bad,
Wow.
happiness, everything. And so the only way to do it is just be yourself. And
Yes.
Yeah.
you're going to be judged one way or the other. So as long as you can say that you do it with integrity and honesty and as respectful as possible, that's more than enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wonderful.
and I would say, really leaning into your most authentic version of yourself. This is something that I talk about a lot. I feel like, when you really love yourself and you're authentic, that's like the most free that you can ever be,
Mm.
right? And also, I always tell people to like be kind to yourself, but also be kind to others because it takes a lot more energy to be like mean and nasty and
Absolutely.
Yes.
than it does to be kind, and
Mm-hmm.
it's free. You don't even have to pay to be kind. You can just,
Right. You don't have to pay to be kind.
you know,
Free
and
99.
Mm-hmm.
those are the
Mm-hmm.
biggest like, and I always say like everybody has a story, and even if you feel like your story is something that doesn't matter, like you don't know that, you don't know how your story could impact somebody else's life for the better, and I feel like we all can be able to change someone's life, even if it's one person, with a conversation, with a handshake, a smile, anything really. You could change someone's perspective in life just by existing and being there, so don't be afraid to be yourself, be who you are, because like she said, people are going to have opinions about you, whether you're
Mm.
doing the best thing in the world. Like there's going to be people that don't like you for whatever reason, and that's okay. You just gotta like lean
Keep
into who you are.
going.
You're more than enough.
Yes.
You are more than enough.
Well, Jay and Pamela, best wishes on what goes next for you. And just like I said, you have fans plural, but you definitely have a fan in me in Los Angeles. And so
Absolutely. And
we
in New York. So
appreciate the
we covered the
time.
whole
Yeah, right. We
we
cover the
we
East
cover
and the
everything.
West.
Yeah.
We are just grateful for your time. So I thank you guys. That was an amazing conversation, and I really enjoyed the time with Jay and Pamela. I know that you did too. I think that they are overcoming some amazing, just life. They're
Yeah.
overcoming life. Like
Yeah.
they're thriving. And I just was really grateful for the time. And I want to encourage everybody to continue to look into the show if you want to be thoroughly entertained, because it is like one of my favorite things currently on TLC, the first season. And you can even catch it on Max for
Well,
the a repeat whenever you want, wherever your streaming services, whatever they say.
when you look at everything and you think about everything, the thing that the sentence that comes to mind is Jay and Pamela are winning at life. That
Yes.
that is it.
I
That's the summary.
I was gonna say Jay and Pamela are deeper than a disorder.
Deeper than a
Eee.
disorder.
This was
Thank you guys so
Absolutely.
much. Find the full episode on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen.